Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in. It is Friday. And boy, for some reason, I am ready for it to be Friday this week. A lot to cover today. We're going to start with President Donald Trump, who says he'll decide on an Iran strike within 2 weeks as he's still holding out for diplomacy to work. For all of you TikTok fans, don't worry, the video platform was given another chance as President Trump yesterday signed an executive order granting TikTok an additional 90 days to find a U.S.-based buyer, marking the third extension this year, an intensifying debate over national security, digital privacy, and the role of Chinese-owned tech in the American market. A New York State judge has ruled that dogs are so much more than just possessions and is allowing the heartbroken family of an adorable tuxedo-wearing dachshund named Duke to sue for emotional distress after the tiny pup was cruelly mowed down by an out-of-control driver. And Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette joins us to talk about the recent energy legislation signed by Governor McMaster that will put South Carolina ahead of energy needs for decades.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
President Donald Trump is expected to decide within the next 2 weeks whether the United States will join Israel in launching a military strike against Iranian nuclear facilities. Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, confirmed yesterday.
I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
According to President Trump's official statement, the delay, and it was read, the whole statement was read by White House Press Secretary Leavitt. The delay hinges on a substantial chance that diplomatic negotiations with Iran could still occur. The Leavitt said, reading directly from the president's prepared remarks, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks, as you heard. Ms. Leavitt underscored that Iran possesses all the technical capabilities needed to develop a nuclear weapon, and that the only thing preventing it is a green light from the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. The president said on Wednesday that Iran had indicated interest in coming to the White House for direct talks, but acknowledged the logistical difficulty of doing so while under siege from Israeli airstrikes. Leavitt told reporters yesterday if there's a chance of diplomacy, he's not afraid to grab it. Now, while the U.S. keeps its distance for now, talks between Iran and European nations are set for today in Geneva, where Iranian Foreign Minister Abba Arashi will meet with his counterparts from the United Kingdom, from France, Germany, and the European Union. However, Trump's special envoy for Iran, Steve Witkoff, the real estate executive turned negotiator, is not scheduled to be in attendance. He will not participate at this point. The core of any potential agreement would require Iran to halt its uranium enrichment program entirely an outcome that Trump says he gave Tehran a 60-day deadline to accept earlier this year. Iran declined, prompting Israeli strikes on several nuclear sites and the targeted killing of top Iranian military personnel. Now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu continues to push the Trump administration to get involved militarily, specifically requesting U.S. bunker-busting bombs to destroy Fordow, a fortified nuclear site buried deep inside an Iranian mountain. Netanyahu told Israel's Khan News whether the president wants to join or not, that's entirely his decision. We all achieve all of our objectives and hit all of their nuclear facilities. The Israeli leader also revealed that the IDF believes it has the capacity and capability to take out the remaining 2 nuclear sites with or without American assistance. He said, we'll not wait forever. We will strike all their nuclear capabilities one way or another. And I got to believe that this plays a role in President Trump's delay as well. He may be sitting back and waiting on Israel to do just that. It would save us from having to make the decision of getting involved more directly. And if that works, I think he should wait. Wait another 2 weeks. Wait another month if he needs to. Because I don't think there's a chance that Iran is going to launch a nuclear attack at this point. They're so weakened. And if Israel can do it on their own, then what are you waiting for? Go for it. Let's do it. Let's get it done. Now, Trump continues, of course, weighing both military and diplomatic options, with Ms. Levitt emphasizing the president is unafraid to use strength if necessary, but prefers a peaceful resolution, which we all do. Fordow remains the primary obstacle for Israeli forces due to its fortified location. The U.S. is believed to possess the only weapons capable of reaching and destroying the facility. Trump says he's not ruled out the use of U.S. munitions to assist Israel, but said that the ultimate decision could come second before action is taken. The stakes are huge, folks. They are enormous. A U.S.-Iran conflict, even in the form of limited strikes, could start a global issue. It could destabilize the Middle East and affect the 2026 midterms as well. President Trump is said to be acutely aware of the political risk as well as the military risk. Diplomatic channels may still provide an off-ramp. Tehran's interest in talks, if sincere, and look, the only way we'll know this is, actually we may know it later today to see what the outcome of the talks are going to be with the UK and the other European countries. But it could shift the trajectory of conflict. No official meeting has been scheduled in Washington yet. For now, the clock is ticking. Ms. Levitt reiterated yesterday the president has made it clear he always wants to pursue diplomacy, but if he needs to act, he will act. How long should we give him? What's your feelings on that? Email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Text me. Leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. When you go to MyPillow.com, always use promo code Joey to get the very best deal possible. And boy, Michael and Dale has some new deals for you when you go to MyPillow.com. The Percale bed sheets, you can get a whole set for as low as $24.98 when you use promo code Joey. The MyPillow Percale sheets are breathable. They have a cool, crisp feel. They have deep pockets to cover any size mattress. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep. You pair it with a MyPillow, and I promise you, you'll get the best night's sleep you've ever gotten. And also, for a limited time, when you order over $100, you're going to receive $100 in free digital gifts. So go to MyPillow.com, use promo code Joey. You can also call 800-893-4059. That's 800-893-4059. Go to MyPillow.com, use promo code Joey to receive the MyPillow Percale sheets for as low as $24.98. $24.98 for a whole set of sheets. You can't beat that. 800-893-4059. We still have a lot to cover today, so keep it here on today's show. For all of you TikTok fans, don't worry. The video platform is going to be given another chance. We're going to get to details of the additional 90 days that President Trump has granted for them to find a U.S.-based buyer. New York State judge has ruled that dogs are much more than just possessions. And we'll be joined by Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. She's coming up next to talk about energy legislation that Governor Henry McMaster just signed into law. And today is the first day of summer, and boy, we're going to see some massive heat in parts of the country as we have experienced a fairly unusual mild spring. A heat dome is moving east, we're told. Temperatures are expected to top 90 degrees for about 220 Americans in the days to come, with temperatures of 100 degrees or more for 35 million, including some in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states as well, according to the Washington Post. Forecasters say the heat likely to break records in some places, and extreme humidity will last for the next week. Joey Hudson here. America is facing a health crisis, and the answer isn't more meds. I lost over 30 pounds on the PhD weight loss plan without Ozempic or any weight loss shots. Don't settle for a lifetime of medication. GLP-1 injections like Ozempic help some people lose weight, but they come with side effects, high cost, and most gain it back when they stop. At PhD Weight Loss, we reveal Big Pharma's big secret. Your body already makes GLP-1, the appetite-fighting hormone. Our program helps your body make it naturally so you'll drop the pounds faster. With the PhD method, no side effects, no long-term risk, no rebound weight gain, just natural, lasting results, all without hunger or cravings. Right now, get a free body scan and personalized metabolic assessment. Discover your body's true potential without a shot. It's free and gives you the keys to your personalized plan. Do like I did and don't trade your health for a quick fix. Call now at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or visit myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com. Okay, an interesting story out of New York. According to the New York Post, what was once man's best friend is now man's closest family. So here's a story. Dogs are so much more than just possessions. We all know that. Those of us who are dog lovers, we know what a vital role or part they play in family. A Brooklyn judge just ruled in allowing the heartbroken family of a dachshund named Duke to sue for emotional distress after the tiny pup was cruelly mowed down by a driver. Nan DeBlas, who was walking her son Trevor DeBlas's pooch on July 4th, 2023, is entitled to damages because she was tormented by witnessing the helpless 4-year-old get crushed, Supreme Court Judge Aaron Maslow said. The judge wrote, "It is reasonable for a jury to conclude that witnessing Duke being crushed led to emotional distress that goes beyond that which is generally felt by the loss of mere property. This court fails to see why a beloved companion pet could not be considered immediate family in the context of the zone of danger doctrine under the fact pattern presented by plaintiffs," the judge wrote. Now, it's been almost 2 years. Nan was walking with Duke in Mill Basin, New York, when an out-of-control driver blew through a stop sign, slamming into the leash wiener dog as Nan jumped out of harm's way. Wow, that would have to be horrible. Standing there holding the leash of your dog and a car just runs over it right in front of you. Nan told the Post this week it was very traumatic. I mean, I was hysterical when it happened. Duke's untimely death, just a few months after he walked down the aisle at Trevor's wedding. He was dressed in a sharp tuxedo, was all captured on video, and shows how Nan even patiently waited for an earlier car to drive through before attempting to cross the street. DeBlas wrote on his Instagram page on July 4th, 2023, "A few hours ago, a man blew a stop sign. Although almost hit my mother and hit my poor sweet Duke and killed him. I can't believe I am typing these words right now. I love this dog more than life itself, and things will never be the same without him." Look, we love our dogs. Jesse and Simon, they are part of our family. And no way I'm going to sit back if someone runs over one of them. I'm going to sit back and not try to do what I can to hold them accountable. The DeBlases sued a month later in 2023, August of 2023, challenging what they called an antiquated law which only allowed Trevor to sue driver Mitchell Hill for the market value of his treasured pooch, plus medical costs, which was roughly about $2,000. The mother and son duo won, mostly, with Maslow granting Nan's claim to emotional distress because she was there and Duke was leashed, but denying it for Trevor as he was not at the scene. The judge wrote, since Nan DeBlas was tethered to Duke at the time of the accident, it is proper for her to recover damages for emotional distress resulting from witnessing Duke's death and fear for her own safety, all due to defendant's negligent, indeed reckless, operation of his vehicle. Now, the decision greatly expands the legal definition of the family tree. The judge made it his ruling as a carve-out in New York state law that applies to people walking a leash law only to watch a negligent driver crush and kill their beloved dog and nearly kill them too. Nan recalled, I took a step to get out of the way of this monster who not only ran a stop sign, but was making a turn. And she described the torment that she has gone through since then, trying to second guess and think of what she could have done differently to have saved Duke as well. She called Maslow's ruling long overdue in New York. Dog owners in Tennessee, according to the Post, are similarly allowed to sue for up to $5,000 of non-economic damages if a pet is killed or sustains serious injury from another, but the act must occur on the victim's property, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. While Trevor now has another dachshund named Cooper, Duke's death still affects him, he said. He said, they miss Duke so much, or I miss Duke so much, I have a little shrine in my house dedicated to him. You can't fill that spot, he said. And I get that. I understand. We love our puppy dogs. The DeBlas family's argument for negligent emotional distress over Duke's death comes from a legal concept known as zone of danger. The New York Post describes how this limits such claims to relatives who were in harm's way when their loved one was killed. Hill and his lawyer, who the judge said provided no opposing evidence in the hearings, did not reply to requests for comment. The judge found him in the wrong on various fronts. He ran the stop sign, didn't use his turn signal, and did not check before turning at the intersection. In a move that showed Maslow took the dog-human family relationship seriously, he asked for outside groups to file papers in support of DeBlas or Hill. And surprisingly, many big-name animal groups sided with the deadly driver, which makes no sense. A ruling in favor of Duke and his family, according to groups like the New York State Veterinary Medical Society and American Kennel Club, would create out-of-control liabilities for the pet industry and raise costs across the board. But Maslow's ruling was crafted almost specifically to avoid this, quote, parade of horrors argument, which he called overstated. Judge Maslow wrote, it stands to reason that companion animals like Duke could also be recognized as a matter of common sense and immediate family, citing changing societal norms. He added that the ruling would be limited to dogs because of his leash stipulation, and that very few people walked tethered to their cats or other non-dog pets on a leash, he said. Other animal rights groups who filed papers supporting Duke's family cheered the ruling, with one group thanking Maslow for his wisdom and courage. They said in their letter of support, animals are not things. They are living, breathing creatures. Nora Marino from the Legal Action Network for Animals and told the New York Post courts must realize that and issue decisions accordingly that dogs are, in fact, part of the family. Said this decision was an enormous step in the right direction. The Christopher Berry from the Non-Human Rights Project said it serves the interest of justice to recognize that Duke was not a legal thing. He was a member of the family. Trevor declined comment through his attorney. The attorney in the case said, our clients are grateful for the court's decision, which will enable them to obtain justice for their damages. The case will surely face legal review as changing societal norms. Maslow sites have found their way into the state's highest court before. Judge Roland Wilson is one of the two jurists who filed a dissenting opinion with the famous Happy the Elephant case, where the state's top court rejected an effort to sue for human rights claims on behalf of a not-so-happy caged pachyderm at the Bronx Zoo back in 2022. Remember this? When they're suing on behalf of this elephant because he was unhappy, or they thought he was unhappy? Wow. Look, I'm in agreement. Again, Jesse and Simon are a big part of our family. If someone does harm to them, I want to hold them accountable. What about you? Did the court go too far in this? Or do you agree? Do you agree that our pets should be treated more than just possessions? And if someone does harm to them, do you believe that you should be compensated for it? Text me. Email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Just when you think a legislature can't go any more woke, the Oregon House of Representatives proves that wrong. They opened a new legislative session this week with a performance by two black drag queens in celebration of Pride Month. Democrat Representative Travis Nelson, the state's first openly LGBTQ African-American legislator, invited performers Isaiah Esquire and Aquaflora to deliver the performance. They were dressed in gold outfits. The Portland-based drag artist lip-synced to Aretha Franklin's A Deeper Love and Beyonce's I Was Here. Their performance, which lasted almost 5 minutes, was met with a standing ovation from many of the House members. Wow. Following the performance, Representative Nelson addressed the chamber to thank the performers, saying, "Your presence, artistry, and courage are a powerful reminder of the joy, resilience, and cultural impact of drag in Oregon and beyond." Wow. The event also served to honor a new House resolution introduced by Mr. Nelson, recognizing Oregon's rich history of black drag. The resolution passed 34-9 and was the first item of legislative business in this session. Now, that's just how woke, that's how crazy things have become in some areas. The first legislation you pass in a new session is about black drag. How much more woke can you get? Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. President Donald Trump has not only stopped, but also reversed the Biden border surge, according to early Census Bureau data. That suggests hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants have dropped out of the U.S. workforce and have departed the country voluntarily. Now, preliminary calculations by the Center for Immigration Studies, using the Census Bureau's monthly survey, show that the number of immigrants in the labor force dropped by about 600,000 from January through May, and the overall number of immigrants in the U.S. fell by 957,000. Stephen Camarota, the lead author of the study, said it looks like there's been a Trump effect on the number of illegal immigrants in the country based on the best data that we have. He said that the U.S. now has 14.8 million illegal immigrants, 1 million fewer than his estimates in January when President Biden transferred power to President Trump. Mr. Trump is on a full court press to usher illegal immigrants out of the country. We all know that, even as the courts are trying their best to prevent him from doing so. Deportation officers have been unshackled from the Biden-era restrictions, told to increase arrests to unprecedented levels. The Department of Homeland Security is urging illegal immigrants to self-deport before they're caught and taken against their wishes. Meanwhile, the border has been shut down to illegal immigrants to a degree not previously seen in modern times. So the idea that it's hard to close the border, like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris tried to convince us that they were doing everything they could, Trump has done it almost instantly. Newcomers aren't replacing those who leave. Agricultural businesses have complained that their largely illegal immigrant workforce isn't showing up, threatening America's farming industry, though. Business groups have warned of broader workforce issues because not having access to the immigrants. Mr. Camarado said the declining number of illegal immigrants presents an opportunity for those competing for jobs. He said, I think this is good news, particularly for less educated Americans who are likely to see a rise in wages. Maybe it will even be helpful in dragging some of these non-college educated men who are working age back into the labor force. The past 4 years have brought an upheaval in the illegal immigrant population. As we know, we've watched it. It was in real time right before our own eyes. As of at the start of 2021, as President Trump transferred power to Joe Biden, the estimated illegal immigrant population was 10.2 million at the time. That grew steadily to 15.8 million in January, again before slipping back to 14.8. CIS data comes from the Census Bureau's current population survey, a monthly collection of data, and it's used to calculate unemployment rates. The survey doesn't ask about legal status, but it does track place of birth and citizenship, which allows folks to estimate illegal immigrant numbers. Now, Mr. Camarado said the recent months of data show a decline of 1 million people in the foreign-born population, entirely among those who haven't naturalized. That's consistent with a major decline in illegal immigration, he said. The data also shows a drop of slightly more than 1 million non-citizens from Latin America. That population largely overlaps with the illegal immigrant population. We know that. Mr. Camarado said that that was strong evidence, again, of the so-called Trump effect. He offered some caveats. For example, immigrants have become more reluctant to answer census questionnaires or may not disclose that they are foreign-born. Social Security this week released its latest projections, including a deep dive into the demographics, said that the U.S. has come through a period with startling high illegal immigration and temporary visitors. It groups those populations together. Social Security figured that about 690,000 arrived in 2020, though many also left, leaving a net increase of about 275,000. Arrivals were estimated at about 2 million by 2022, with 1.5 million saying 2.7 million in 2023, and the list went on. But we're seeing that decline now. Social Security assumed little change this year, projecting 2 million will arrive this year and 1.2 million will stay. But if the trends continue, that may not happen. For all you TikTok fans, if you're concerned that your video platform may be going down as we are approaching the second, actually, I guess this is the third deadline that President Trump had given. Well, don't worry. TikTok has a reprieve. Again, President Trump yesterday signed an executive order granting TikTok an additional 90 days to find a U.S.-based buyer. This marks the third extension this year and, of course, intensifies the debate over the things that people don't like TikTok about, like national security, digital privacy, and, of course, the biggie, the role of Chinese-owned tech in the American market. This extension delays enforcement of federal law upheld by the Supreme Court earlier this year that would effectively ban TikTok unless its Chinese parent company, ByteDance, divests from the platform. The law was passed in 2024 under former President Joe Biden, gave ByteDance until January 19th, 2025, this year, to complete a sale. They did not get to that point. President Trump, one of the first things he did when in office, signed an executive order giving him 90 days. He has extended that now for the third time. Now, this offers short-term relief to TikTok. They have 170 million U.S. users and more than 7.5 million American businesses that rely on the TikTok app. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are sharply divided on the wisdom and legality of the president's delay again, though. Not quite sure what to do with this company. Senator Mark Warner said this is yet another example of the Trump administration flouting the law and ignoring its own national security concerns. He said an executive order can't sidestep the law, but that's exactly what the president is trying to do. Senator John Thune said that Republicans are more divided. He acknowledged that a delay might be warranted, but only if it leads to the right outcome, he said. Others like Representative Dan Newhouse, Republican from Washington, remain firm in their support of the law banning TikTok's operations unless a divestment occurs. I don't know where this is headed, honestly. I understand the risk and the concerns with TikTok. I'm also not quite sure how we force ByteDance, or any foreign company for that matter, to sell their company in order to do business in the U.S. Now, maybe the Chinese are ready to give up their U.S. market. I don't think so. Senator John Kennedy admitted when asked about the legality of a third extension, he said, I don't know. I haven't done the research, but the president's going to have to deal with it sooner or later. I'm not sure anybody knows exactly how to treat this. The Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act, signed by Biden in April 2024, gives ByteDance a limited window to divest TikTok or face a full U.S. ban. ByteDance has yet to reach a deal. Trump's extension, the first in January, the second one in March, and now this third one here in June, has allowed ByteDance to continue negotiating with prospective U.S. buyers while staving off enforcement of the law. Sources familiar with the talks say the White House is monitoring multiple potential acquirers, but none have yet satisfied both the financial and national security concerns that are outlined in the legislation. Again, I ask you, and look, this is one of those cases where House Democrats and Senate Democrats, they're very frustrated. I would have thought they would be defending TikTok, but they're saying it's time to do something, to take action. And there's a whole host of them lining up, urging President Trump to enforce the law and prioritize national security over campaign optics. President Trump made the mistake of admitting that TikTok had helped his campaign. He had used it effectively, to reach the younger voter. Democrats don't want to hear that. Joining us today, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette. Welcome, and how are you?
I'm doing great, Joey. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you for asking. It's been a busy week news-wise. Of course, all of the unrest in the Middle East, and if we have time, we'll get into that. But just a busy news week. Governor McMaster held a ceremonial signing this week of the South Carolina Energy Security Act. Talk with us about why this is important to every South Carolinian who's listening to us today.
So energy security is national security. And we've heard President Trump say that, Joey, and we've been saying that now, since we almost had that rolling blackout, right? The governor pulling up Power SC Nexus, bringing all partners to the table to talk about how we get ahead of any kind of energy shortage. And so this was a big first step, this big, beautiful energy bill, right?
Yep.
Signed yesterday by the governor. I hated that I was here at RLGA wrapping up our session and wasn't able to be there, but I was watching from afar and cheering them all on. But this bill, Joey, does a lot. For one thing, it helps with regulations. There's a stipulation that basically says when an energy company puts in a permit, if it's not approved within 6 months, it's automatically approved. So cutting through red tape and bureaucracy is what the people of this country have been wanting, not just the people of South Carolina. And that is big into the bill. Another big thing is a partnership between Dominion and Santee Cooper to turn one of our coal-fired plants into a natural gas plant. That's a big deal. We have to get base load up and then paving the way for VC Summer to once again resurrect. Let's get nuclear online. If we do all these things and we do them well, which I have full confidence that we will, South Carolina will start to become a powerhouse in energy. And that's what we need to keep growing, to keep energy affordable and reliable. And that's the key. That is truly the key. So yesterday, a big day for South Carolina.
Yeah. All right, I got to ask you, one of the things that got my attention is the fact that utilities will now be able to request rate adjustments, which in my mind means increases more frequently. If a utility can ask for rate increases multiple times each year, how does this help the consumer?
Well, I think what it does is the arguments that I heard was that it's not these big hits that we've been seeing in the past, right? If they could adjust them in smaller increments, it's less of a hit to the consumer. And remember, these are asks. Doesn't mean, everything is going to go through, but I think it's better to do things incrementally than big hits all at once. And if we're going to continue, I think that's why it's so important to keep working on production, because we want to make sure that we have, when energy becomes abundant, energy becomes affordable. And so we want to make sure that we're doing that hand in hand, that as they're doing more with transmission, and that is a big goal of President Trump, is right now we have transmission issues. We can produce all the power we want, but if we can't get it to homes, if we can't get it to where it needs to go, and that's because the EPA was bogged down with such regulations. When Secretary Zeldin was at Nucor, I asked him about that. The bill hadn't yet passed, and I said, in true Trump fashion, I said, hey, we're about to pass this big, beautiful energy bill. What kind of relief are we going to get at the federal level? And he said President Trump has given him 10 weeks to start cutting through regulations that make it hard. And a lot of times those regulations are what ends up bringing up the cost, right? Because there's such a delay in getting things done. When there's a delay, there's a lot of cost increases. So I'm very hopeful that all the changes we're seeing is going to help stabilize rates and not make those increases continue for the consumer.
Well, I think we all are hopeful of that for sure. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette on our guest line today. Here's another provision of the law that I like. It requires monthly progress reports and mandated independent oversight for projects over $500 million. Now, I'm assuming this is designed to prevent another VC summer boondoggle. Am I correct with that?
Absolutely. We do not want what happened with VC Summer to ever happen again. And I think, we can all agree that no matter in our homes and decisions we make, in our businesses with decisions we make, our businesses within our state or federal government, we should always learn from the mistakes of the past. That's what makes us stronger. And I think you're absolutely right. We want to make sure that we never have another issue where ratepayers are paying on a project that's not moving forward. And we want, and I think what we should all want to do as elected officials is to let the consumer know that we're protecting them. Yeah. And I think that's a great provision. And I hope that makes everybody feel a lot better because I really feel very confident that VC Summer is going to continue, that we're going to do it. We're going to learn from the mistakes that happened prior. And we're going to make sure that this becomes something that the people of South Carolina are proud of. Yeah.
Well, and speaking of that, the South Carolina Daily Gazette this week reported that there were a lot of responses to the RFP sent out back in January. You and I have talked about this briefly in the past, asking for companies to present plans to resurrect the VC Summer project. It looks like we're making some progress with that.
We really are. And I think what I keep hearing too, and again, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it signed off on, but I hear positive things. Like everything that was done in the building of VC Summer is good and solid, and that should make us all feel better because as this progresses, that takes. I've heard anywhere from 3 years to 4 years, and numbers all in between. How many years that will take off the project build? Because let's face it, building a nuclear power plant. We think we get frustrated, Joey, when we're trying to remodel our bathroom. Imagine, what the detail it entails building a nuclear power plant. So those are, all good things have been coming from this exercise in getting people out there, getting them looking at it, seeing the excitement around it. And at the end of the day, that plant coming online is great for South Carolina.
Yeah. Yep. That will just be a major victory once something is signed, a deal is signed on that, and work can resume to get those two nuclear plants operational and producing electricity. I mean, that'll be a big day for South Carolina for sure. Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette, always a pleasure. Appreciate your time today, and we'll do it again next week.
That's great, Joey. You guys all have fun. I hear it's going to be one heck of a weekend.
Absolutely. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.